Hello, welcome to a Sonic Lab special. We were at Synthfest in Sheffield at the weekend, where there are a lot of synthesizer manufacturers, one of which was Jörg Schaff from Radikal Technologies, and you've been showing the Delta CEP A, which is your new, it's a DSP synthesizer. This is the desktop version. You also have a Eurorack version, but this is not just a mono synth, it's also paraphonic.
Yeah, so you can play up to 4 voices at a time, and the 4 voice has still 2 oscillators per voice, so you have still frequency beating to have a little bit.
And you've got you're using your Swarm oscillator as the kind of main sound source in this, which is something that you released previously on as a separate unit.
Yeah, that's right. So the Swarm oscillator is just to make it easier to get oscillators in tune. And so you can, for example, select different chords on it, or you can just tune. I can just show you. This is a basic 1 oscillator. You can change the waveform of this one, or the pitch, and you can now add additional clones. So if I'm not detuning them, it just changes the sound a little bit in the kind that it changes the spectrum, because they are not all at the same place, you know.
Phase,
And now you can just add some animation to it by putting some detuning on that, and that makes it very easy. And the other side is you can freeze the envelope here if you want to turn some knobs, and you can hold this and select then chord. So you can select different chord families.
And how many notes in the chord? Because if you've got how many notes in a swarm when you're at full density?
So you have 8 oscillators. You have up to 8 notes in the chord. So here's the number of notes. If you just start with 1, you have only 1 note. And then the second one. And there are different chords, different chord families to make it more.
And do they modulate depending on the key as well, so that they'll stay in key, or is it just a fixed chord?
No, it's just a fixed one.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Right.
So, and the other thing is you can always go into paraphonic mode and play then chords directly. And you still have the beating on that.
So it's a single oscillator, but it's a single swarm oscillator.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Got you.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess next up is the filter, and is the filter in DSP, because lots of people going, you know, digital, everything else, and then analog filters.
Yeah, we have an analog filter just to keep them quiet, you know.
I've heard these digital filters, and they sound good.
But at the moment, we are listening to the digital one, so I can just show you how this one sounds. Can also go to self-resolution.
Right. And is it a multi-mode digital filter?
Yeah, you can select a bandpass or high-pass filter.
And can you get those? Can you get those really big harmonics from the high-pass filter as well? Get right down to the.
You see this?
Oh, that's interesting.
They are both. You can add the resonance here. Also self-resonates, also the high-pass filter.
Right.
So we have, I entered a little sequence earlier, and it's very good to make the difference between the 12 dB version and the 24 dB version of the filter audible. So this is at the moment the 12 dB digital filter, and now if I'm switching by holding the shift button, second button, then you hear it has then these other balls in the back end.
It does sound good for. I mean, digital. Everybody assumes that digital filters just can't sound great, but these actually sound pretty nice.
Thank you.
But I mean, I guess that's because you know your company's you've been involved in the making of DSP-based synth for a long time, so you kind of know how to get the most out of the technology, right?
And there's a genius in the background, you know, who is implementing this stuff, you know.
So your role is really kind of like the concept of the synth and the functionality and tweaking it so that the code becomes more musical, I guess, right?
And they were always in dialogue about the features, about the sound, about the envelopes, about the filters, how should they sound, or how should they be scaled on the knobs and stuff like that. So the musical fine-tuning is.
So I guess the thing is also with the when you're working with digital sources, I mean you have to introduce some kind of irregularity or some analog feel to it, because perfection sounds a bit wrong sometimes. And is that already sort of baked into your?
Always built in. Also in the accelerator, it's always not that it's like there's always random inside, just in the algorithms, just slightly, it's just only a very little bit. And also the frequency beating must go really slow that it sounds perfect, in my opinion. So if you have something like this and a lot of oscillators, and then the detuning is really low, then it gets this special changing over.
Yeah, because if that was purely accurate, it would sound weird, right? So if you dial in the analog filter, what does it get from that? Can you saturate and you get all of that kind of good stuff happening?
Yeah, so you have saturation. You have in front of the filter, you have digital saturation as well. So you can also saturate the sounds of these filters. So it's now the sine wave. So this is without saturation. I can bring it in.
Sounds nice and grungy.
You can.
And you've got effects on here as well.
There's some delay inside, so maybe I'm just.
So we're still listening to the digital filter.
Yeah, that's the moment the digital one. That's now the analog one. The analog one is 12 dB again.
So in terms of the stuff like audio rate mod and modulation, I mean, what else can we do with that? Because I've seen some videos, because you post quite a lot of great musical videos on YouTube as well.
Thank you.
Check that out, by the way, kids. And envelopes are very snappy. What about LFOs and that side of things, and maybe audio? Is there so much audio rate mod?
Yeah, sure. You can just enter this.
So we've got a single LFO?
There's a single LFO, but for example, the morphing thing, what I show you later, has its own independent LFO, and also the FX units have their independent LFO. So this LFO is just for the modulations you are patching here. So you already hear some modulation on it.
Right, so we get right up there.
And you can select your different waveforms, and you see here you can control the depth of the LFO.
Right.
And he goes into the other direction. So the sawtooth then goes from up to down.
Inverse,
and
right,
from
okay.
here.
So can you get the LFO to pitch track? Could you send CV into it and turn it into another oscillator?
That's a good question. Yeah, we actually can do that. So you can select different scales, and then it's best.
Oh, so there's a quantizer on the LFO.
There's the quantizer. Yeah. Is that what you asked me? Or?
No, but that's an interesting feature nonetheless. I wondered whether you could actually track the audio rate of the LFO, so you could actually play.
No. That's not the well with that.
Okay,
no.
all right.
No, they should buy the Swarm oscillator then if you want to get.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. So, so you've got a pitch quantizer in there as well.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. So this is programmable, I should say, as well, is it?
Yeah, you have 40 presets, and each preset has up to 8 snapshots. So snapshot is another feature we have not even talked about. You can create just patches within a patch, or snapshots. We are calling them snapshots, with all controls, with all buttons, with everything. And then you have up to 8 of these snapshots, and then you can morph through them. You can morph through them with an LFO, you can morph through them via aftertouch, you can morph through them.
Well, maybe we should listen to some patches, and then you can show us a little bit more about what's going on there.
Sure, I can do that. So, I'm just putting the sequence again on the. And I'm creating now the first sound variation of it. I want to start with the first snapshot. So I'm just pushing the snap button here. And now I have already saved the first snapshot. Now I'm selecting another one, maybe the number 5, just to have a wider range for the movement. And I'm changing that now. I'm putting that as second snapshot. And now I can already run through them. At the moment they are just selecting the different snapshots, but I can select in the morph mode, which is on the number 2, and then it just morphs through the different settings.
And how does it know how to musically adjust parameters, or is it just a sort of gets from A to B, or does it get from A to B and more music?
We worked a lot on that, you know, that it's for different parameters we are doing different things. So some things are faded over, other things are just morphed.
So if we were to put another snapshot in there where we were going to like a chordal swarm.
Yeah, you can do that.
So how does that? I'd be interested to see how that met.
So I've never tried that. It's very funny. Maybe something like this, it sounds quite nice. So, and I'm putting that on this snapshot, and now we see. So it's
right.
So let's fade them in. So that's really simple, because otherwise it would sound some state. But you can, for example, go to one of these snapshots and change the tuning by some octaves if you want to have a sweep between them, and then it sweeps through them. So
right, okay. But I mean, the thing about this is it sounds very beefy in the room as well. So I mean, some of the sounds that you've got in here, you've been playing while we've been setting up. It's been like, oh goodness, they really have a sort of, it's got a meaty quality to it. So you can map the morphing through from other parameters like the LFO or note value or that sort of stuff.
Everything, yes. Just any parameter you can now start at one snapshot with to put delay on that one. Put this on this. You can even change it then to chorus at the next preset, and then it will fade from the delay to the chorus.
This is a stereo effects module.
Mm-hmm. So you have also, in the desktop where you have 2 inputs, 2 outputs with regular jacks that you can use it as an external FX module as well. And it's this true stereo device here. So you have a tempo-based delay, you have a tape delay, you have a chorus, and flanger, and phaser selectable at this FX unit.
And what's the sort of the length of delay that you can get to? Can you kind of...
Sure, I can just show a delay. So if you turn it right up, then now we are there.
So yeah, a number of seconds.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And you can really put it in a really crazy mode, in the tape delay.
So you could almost use it like a little looper type thing as well.
Yeah. So it goes into the flanging mode. So you can also modulate the delay.
Right.
So with an LFO which is in there, and you can also change you can put a filter on the delay so that it goes into a high pass or low pass filtering stuff for dub.
Wow, so quite a lot of stuff going on there. So a bit more about the paraphonic mode. I mean, how kind of flexible is that? What sort of sounds can you get from paraphony? Can you get sort of acceptable chord work?
Sure, I think fits quite well. So the difference from compared to other synths who have a paraphonic mode, in most cases they have maybe 2 oscillators or 3, and then they have 2 or 3 voices, and then you
low,
can play them.
You tune it up a bit. So.
Yeah. And here we have always still 2 oscillators per voice, so that you have this frequency.
So you can detune them.
Yeah.
And it would be remiss of me if I didn't ask whether it has pulse width modulation, I guess.
It has, sure it has. So you want to hear that?
Yeah, I think better. People are always people are just going to put it in the comments, but doesn't have pulse width. Yeah. So now I may as well just ask the question.
So I'm selecting first the rectangle wave, and then I'm going through the pulse width modulation. I can put that onto the LFO and on the modulation input.
Right. So you
and then. It's right there. It's very good to have it on pads, you know, but you can use this TLM modulation on all waveforms, not only on rectangle.
Oh, so it morphs.
Yeah. So it just changed the beginning of the waveform and the end. So it stretches this one and puts this together, okay. And so it does the same like on a rectangle wave, but it does it on all waveforms.
Right.
So this is now a sine wave. You know, it's not what you're expecting from a sine wave normally, what you hear. And you even hear it on the...
So I'm guessing, you know, closing the filter down a bit and getting some...
And also this goes into the audio.
Wow.
So, are you happy with that? You're smiling already.
So, I mean, I guess if you've got chords and close the filter down a bit, put a bit of delay on it, then we've got some pretty nice...
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
So I have freezing the chord to make it easier to access the knobs.
So it gets from sort of, you know, traditional sounding to some pretty crazy places quite quickly. Right. Okay. So are you finding that that you're able to get to places that you haven't been able to get with some of your other synthesizers with this? Was that the idea to sort of push the boundaries, or is it more to create some of what you're already capable of doing in a smaller format?
Yeah, we thought after a lot of very advanced instruments like the Spectralist, the Accelerator, it would be the time to create something which is easy to operate.
Right.
Yeah,
well, they're very complex instruments.
Yeah, because and not so many knobs, you know. So and this one is just you see what you get, and then you can start tweaking it. And
so we're driving this from MIDI at the moment. Is it possible to drive this from gate and CV as well?
Sure, you have a gate input, and you have here the 1 volt per octave input. But you can also connect the MIDI to this port. It's the same like this port, but you can also control other modules with the MIDI to CV interface, which is in there. So for that reason, it's a really good starting point for a Eurorack system for a beginner.
Right.
And also this desktop case is just the beginning. So we are planning to do larger ones, and we will offer different side panels so that you can stack them with 2 rows or 3 rows or something like this.
So currently still in development, but just production is coming very soon.
Close. You already hear that it already sounds good, and there's not so much to do anymore because also the morphing is working, the staging is working. We are at the moment fine-tuning it, and this is just mirroring what we already do, so it's not a big deal to get these working. So we are planning to bring that out by beginning of November to mid to November. So it's at the moment it's in production. So it will also then have the final faceplate. So this is a little bit different looking. We are just adding some more labels onto it because we have, for example, the quantizer. There will be a sign that there's a quantizer, for example. But the most essential knobs have now double functions. For example, the pitch.
Yeah,
I think that would be not so good.
I have to say the pitch on that when you go right up, because it's DSP on my ear, I'm expecting to hear A-listing, but there's just nothing.
We can introduce that if you want to, but
it's all right. No,
I like it like it is. Yeah. So,
so what's the final price going to be?
So the Eurorack version is, so I have only the Euro price at the moment. It's 900, the Eurorack version, and the desktop version is 1200.
Right, okay. And so, is it going to be possible to chain them? You know, so you could get, I guess you could have 8 voices in paraphonic mode, or that wouldn't really work, would it? Because
There's
it's
one
paraphony.
very special mode in the Delta. There's a connector for a little ribbon cable, and you can connect this ribbon cable to our swarm oscillator. And then the swarm oscillator is following what you are doing there. And then you have more voices, and you have also more waveforms, and they have FM and all this stuff.
Ah, okay.
So because otherwise it would not be possible. You cannot start to patch other modules for polyphony with the voltage controlled stuff. But it's and the swarm oscillator has no MIDI connection for polyphonic information. So we have an interconnection, and that will also synchronize the
with the morphing.
Swarm morphing. So,
okay, right.
And what I have not shown yet, so this is the automation mode, but you can put it, for example, to the 4, and then it reacts on the velocity which snapshot is chosen, and also the everything between. So it's not just 8 snapshots you are reaching; you are also reach.
So you're morphing the morph.
Yeah.
Morphing the morph with a.
And you can also put it on. You can also put it on. So that was the wrong button. And you can also put it on aftertouch. So it's
right. So it's a modulation destination as well.
You can also put that onto control voltage, an external voltage. So.
Well, maybe just let's have a little bit more listen to some sound, and then we can play out, roll off into the sunset with some synth goodness.
Yeah. Okay.
But thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.